Give the floor to the moderator, Sebastian Becker, who is the founder and owner of The Brain Behind, who is an INATBA member, and he's also a member of the board of directors at INATBA. Sebastian, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Bara, and good afternoon to all of you to this session about industrial blockchain. And of course, this has a bit of a story behind. So together at the INATBA board level, we decided to set up a task force about industrial blockchain at the end of last year, and we published a quite comprehensive report. In July, I was also leading this task force together with Isat Begum Rajan. She's also in the audience, as I could see. And at the beginning of this task force, hi Isat Begum, we decided to focus on consortial project because, of course, it's a very vast playing field if we talk about industrial blockchain, and there are so many bilateral or multilateral projects in the private sector, so we couldn't cover them all. So we were focusing on consortial initiatives that were open to for companies to join, at least if it's a funded project until a given point of time. And we wanted to give a snapshot about the status of those projects, because many publicly funded projects are, of course, having a runtime of 2 to 3 years typically. And if you're in the end not selected and part of one of these consortium, it's easy to lose an overview, especially it was during Corona times. So we thought at a period where some of the infrastructure initiatives that were initiated by the European Commission here in Europe are seeing progress, and when deadlines or launch plans are being discussed around digital currencies, about digital identity wallets, such an overview might serve a purpose for strategic units inside companies when they make their midterm planning to understand when and how are blockchain-based use cases, modules, building blocks going to be available for them. And of course, we also wanted to counter a little bit the sentiment that we all hear and read from time to time that industrial blockchain adoption is slow. And of course, as with every innovation, it follows more or less the hype cycle. And yes, not all the fantasies we discussed early on in 2017-18 were seeing the days of light. But in the meantime, with MiCA regulation coming into place, and also realizing that we had a very difficult past 5 years with COVID, with the war in the Ukraine, with the energy crisis. So I think the innovation agenda, not only for many corporates, but also for entire states and regions such as the EU, was turned upside down a little bit. But now, despite still difficult international circumstances, I think the ChatGPT moment that hit managers a year and a half ago has made it clear to everybody that we are most likely not living in a normal innovation cycle where iterative progress is taking place, and where we can leave those decisions to tech departments, but where the next decisions might decide about the fate of companies, industry segments, or entire regions. That being said, we will not discuss blockchain for the sake of blockchain. It's always about how to combine blockchain with AI, other exponential technologies, cybersecurity needs, etc. But we want to talk about the capabilities of blockchain technology and how we see them in our work, in our projects, and what our opinion about future development is. So that's why I'm quite happy to have a very distinguished panels of seasoned industry experts. And let's start with a round of introduction. Maybe ladies first. Maria, please tell us for 2-3 minutes about where you come from, what you are working on, and then take the tour.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sebastian, for having me. My name is Maria Minarikova. I'm the Director of Business Development at Fetch AI. I'm also a member of the Fetch AI Foundation, which we have established last year, actually together with Bosch and a few other industrial leaders have joined the foundation. So at Fetch AI, we're developing infrastructure to support AI agents and to really enable this technology and help companies in adoption of decentralized, AI applications and services, mostly based around agents. And I think, this is really a relevant topic nowadays. There's more and more discussion about AI agents. And why blockchain is really relevant and important. It actually helps, to decentralize the governance of these agents ecosystems. And so the way we are approaching the technology is that you can set up your own agent. I can set up my own agent. Agents can represent, vehicles in infrastructure, IoT devices, DeepIn devices, but they can register on blockchain and therefore become, that governance is decentralized. Then they register in a smart contract, and you don't have one centralized point of where everybody enters and registers in one a database. As it's in a traditional setup, and so but it's decentralized. So hence the need for blockchain and building these interesting new ecosystems with these new interesting technologies. And I look forward to having the discussion today about that.
Thanks for joining us today, Maria. I have to say, I think we met in 2018 in some meetings also in Stuttgart. Peter was our host back then, and given Fetch AI's history, you didn't have to change a lot. Back then you were talking about autonomous agents, now it's AI agents, so your life must have become a bit easier. So looking forward to the discussion. Katharina, going a bit north, to Ludwigsburg, Berlin. Where are you today? And tell us about your role at MHP.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Sebastian, for having me as well. My name is Katharina. I'm actually located in Berlin, and I'm there now. So I'm part of the Transformation Advisory Team at MHP. MHP is a management and IT consultancy. We're a 100% subsidiary of Porsche. And I'm working in the crypto space since nearly 10 years now, and advise industrial companies, not only Porsche, but mainly in the automotive sector, but also in the software companies business, in the areas of blockchain, NFTs, Web3, and decentralized infrastructures. And I'm always working at the interface of business and tech. So for me, it's always important to have a real business value behind it, calculating business cases, and make the decision whether it's valuable to invest in innovation and technologies or not. And I'm fascinated by the technology from the very beginning. I still think that we definitely need decentralized infrastructures. And that's why I worked on multiple customer projects. They're quite different. So one of them was in the production, another one in the supply chain. Then we did projects, of course, in the customer experience space with NFTs, loyalty projects. So we have a very wide band. And I supported the customers from the conception, the actual decision making with business cases, to the prototyping, realization, and launches. And we actually also supported our own company to bring them to the Web3 space. So we also launched digital trade fair giveaways as NFTs, not just because we wanted to make NFTs, but we wanted to try out the technology on ourselves and to really measure how the success is when we bring such technology to people who haven't thought about blockchain and NFTs yet. And that's why I'm here. We're working in the industry sector, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion today as well.
Thank you, Katharina, also for contributing to our Industrial Blockchain Task Force report published in July. And the two of us, we also did a study together in 2019 on blockchain in the automotive sector. And that's the good bridge to switch to Jochen. He's based in Stuttgart, very close to where the automobile was invented some 38 years ago, I guess. So Jochen, please tell us about yourself and 51 Oats.
Yeah, and we hope that cars will still be produced in the next 10 or 20 years from here. So thanks for the invitation. Thanks. It's been an honor. It is an honor to be on the panel. Yeah, I'm here as one of two founders of 51 Nodes. We founded 51 Nodes in 2017, so that's 7 years ago, with the goal to support our customers developing and implementing blockchain projects very much on the software side of things. Only a little bit conceptual consulting, but most of all making things happen in the technical department, if you like. And we are very pleased to work together, for instance, with Peter at Bosch at MoveID project we're going to talk about. Other than that, we'll involved in project in the financial sector for Börse Bern, for instance, where we build a secondary market settlement system right now on public Ethereum, or working together with Honda Research Europe by integrating energy and mobility markets. And of course, we are also looking at intelligent autonomous agents, and we're well aware of Fetch's activities. In fact, we worked together last year, and very excited to be here and to share our experiences in the industrial blockchain area.
Thank you, Jochen. And last but not least, Peter Busch from Bosch, a small family-owned company also located in Stuttgart, doing many things. So I think you're still struggling to find a focus at Bosch, right, Peter? Or how do you do in this difficult
I wouldn't
year?
call it struggling. I'm joyful working and finding it. So hello again. Thanks for having me here as well in this round. Always elated to talk about these topics. The usual suspects together here. So we know each other all. And Peter Busch, I work for automotive strategy here at Bosch in Ludwigsburg, nearby Stuttgart. So we have all as well the location quite near together. I'm in the space since 2016 as well. Know all here the participants quite long already as well. Yeah, and we tried at Bosch since really 8-9 years now to implement alternative approaches when it comes to connecting things, using data and all that. And of course, decentralization, trust, and all that plays a major role here. So we had strategic projects where I was the product owner for mobility all the time, trying to start projects, scouting startups, talking to other companies, and trying to bring them all together. And this function, from my study side, I'm a computer scientist with an MBA, so I always look in both directions. Definitely the technical side of blockchain is fascinating me since years, and as well the business model side, of course, on the other side, the economical view on the interesting facts of blockchain as well, of course, are intriguing all the time to me. And in this role, I am project lead of MoveID, which is a quite large public funded project dealing exactly with decentralized digital identities, bringing them on the road in a highly connected traffic. And on the other side, I am the chairman of the Fetch AI Foundation, which we together with Fetch founded years ago as one of the deliverables from our side. With a finding of our strategic project, it absolutely makes sense to build such a foundation, to have the governance, the investment things from the other side, from the industrial side, make clear what kind of technology, what kind of ecosystem is building up. Does it really make sense to go in this direction as well? And as I said before, these decentralization parts, and especially in the fetch tech stack, when it comes to autonomous agents, AI agents, and as well the I would say the economic side, definitely when it comes to cryptocurrency in this larger view, absolutely makes sense in a lot of different automotive use cases, but as well industrial use cases as a whole. And so I'm always quite happy to discuss these topics, all the things, the highs and lows that we all experience in this area, and so quite elated to start this discussion here with you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, then let's jump right into it. One of the projects in our July Task Force End report was, of course, MoveID. It's an example for a publicly funded project, part or under the Gaia X umbrella. You can talk a little bit about that in a second, Peter. But I also want to highlight that, let's say, Web3 and blockchain tech was at the core of MoveID from the beginning. And compared to some other consortial projects, you have not dropped some of the initial use cases, like establishing data markets going forward. Because if we talk about industrial blockchain and innovation in general, we need to take end-to-end thinking seriously. We need to talk about business process automation in a trustworthy context. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the end goal of the MoveID project, where you are and what you are trying to achieve until the project is coming to an end. And then, of course, we can discuss how will the step most likely look like from a publicly funded project to then a privately initiated, hopefully follow-up initiative.
Exactly. Yeah, you put it right. We really started with this big goal, with this vision of really putting decentralization in focus of that project, and we still at it. And I think we were quite successful in showing in certain POCs and certain demonstrations in the IAA 2 times in Munich, at the Hannover Messe this year as well, and in other occasions, that we make it really, that we take it serious. So we're doing really decentralized digital identities, putting them on the road, looking deeply into decentralized marketplaces. And I would really say we have the creme de la creme of really cool startups together in this consortium, as well as industrial partners. And so as a whole, we are 20 partners, some very big ones, as Bosch, Condi, and Denso, Materna, and others, but as well lots of others. Just to say it, because I see this chat question popping up, we are not focused on one blockchain, on one technology. We try to find the best way how to combine different technologies here. Of course, we are looking into Ethereum, we are looking into the Cosmos network, we are looking into other like Peak's own solution and others. So really a plethora of different things. And the main thing really is compatibility, interoperability as a whole. That was one of my main goals. And we are now really at a point where we say we found some basic understanding what kind of tech stacks we need to use when it comes to a digital identity for cars, when it comes to car-to-X, car-to-car communication, which is very important for the future. And we're really handling quite near to the European regulation area, what is happening here, since when the project is ending, and that will really be next year, mid of next year, maybe more end of next year, because we are extending maybe the projects. Then we are ready, I would say, to talk to the other OEMs, to the other partners, and say, hey, we have now a ready built tech stack, and we have an open source strategy until then. We have a standardization approach as well to bring it onto the roads. And as other consortia or other, I would say, academia, who thought starting blockchain could be a cool thing like 3-4 years ago, now coming back to reality and say, hey, that doesn't all make sense to us. It's too expensive. The industry is not adopting, blah, blah, blah. But we stick to it, and we say, no, this is the only way. And so I can really tell you something really right now. We get more and more signs from big OEMs telling us, Now it looks like the time can be right exactly when you are all ready with the project, because we are fed up with these centralistic approaches. We see now this hype with AI coming up and going already in not really the best directions. We see a lot of strange things happening in China, in other areas of the world, which we do not really like. So as well, we now need these alternative approaches like decentralization, like decentral AI, like agent approaches, which not only follow the same classic routes that like OpenAI, Microsoft, others are now following when they talk about agents. Because it's always, and that's what I really heard, original voice of the customer from some of the big OEMs, it's always the same business model. And it's not our business model, it's not the industry business model, not the business model of the end user. It's always the business model of the centralistic platforms. And this is exactly what keeps us really on road, on the track. And again, what we are trying now to reach, and this will be next year more and more clear, is aligned with the European standards, aligned with other standardizations. And we have now as well some other very interesting things started to do the standardization process in terms of COVESA. So it is really Car2X standardization. There is a vehicle signal specification approach, for example, where we can put now really these processes, these decentralized identity stacks, directly together with software-defined vehicle into the car AE architectures. And until next year, I think we then come with a quite interesting result of the project, going to the OEMs, which are already, I would say, waiting and interested to build that into the new projects of the future. Especially that is my wish. So let's talk about the other stuff later.
Maybe a question to you in this context. You mentioned also 51 nodes clients in the energy sector. What's the role of sector coupling? Do you think that blockchain technology is a very good technology in building bridges to neighboring sectors like energy, like smart cities? So what has been your learning, not only out of the Move ID project?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. It's exactly the thing which is one of our strategies, how to go on after Move ID. Because when you look at e-mobility, you always already have a decentralized energy market in different markets in the world, which definitely cry out for decentralization approaches. And this is not only mobility, of course. There we have the energy sector and lots of different interesting projects already going on. We have a huge business area looking into these areas, and we could always already show on the last IAA that we have very interesting future flux on that when it comes to e-charging, routing, and then energy sector. And when it comes to sector coupling, we definitely as well look into building technology, into power tools, all the things that we as Bosch as well have. And there we find digital identities are needed everywhere. And this definitely will be our approach as well. After Move ID, seeing, okay, now we have a basic tech stack, and as Bosch, of course, we are still focused on mobility, but other areas get more and more important. And this definitely will happen after Move ID, and it's already starting.
Thanks, Peter. Jochen, anything you want to add here about sector coupling?
Well, I think the idea is out there for quite a while, and the question is how to make it work, how to make it happen. And in our projects, what we find is two different types of situation. In one type of situation, we mastered the technology, so basically we can pretty much implement or do everything we want. And the other type is we're still in a pre-development or more a research phase where actually tech stacks still have to be developed. And for instance, in our situation in Move ID, we're still on our way to find appropriate frameworks that incorporate the multitude of requirements given, for instance, from a identity point of view, let's say eIDAS in European regulation on the one hand, on the other hand, the Gaia X basics and to get them married into a open source, usually an open source tech stack or tech framework is quite challenging, quite interesting. So I think there we're still on the way. In other areas, let's say if we want to do kind of simple SSI operations and transactions within a couple of companies, small consortia. We are already there from a technical point of view, which is very exciting, actually.
And a follow-up question, because we all know that the adoption of blockchain tech is most advanced in the financial sector, where you are also quite active, given your customers such as Börse Stuttgart and the platforms in Switzerland you mentioned. So is this going to be a pattern for the next year, that the efficiency technology built on blockchain rails that we see adopted in financial markets will find their way through corporate treasuries, maybe, to drive sector coupling and to marry, let's say, the efficiency backend that most companies will have to focus on in the next years to stay competitive, with operational needs and let's say edge computing experiences, if we talk about mobility or agriculture or energy, sustainable energy sources that are distributed everywhere. So is this something you see happening or feel happening?
It's certainly in our vision and what we're thriving for. But as you mentioned, it requires a lot of collaboration of let's say different banks to agree upon a certain format for let's say a commercial bank money token, for instance, to get them together as still kind of slow-moving entities, since they are highly regulated and so forth. That takes a lot of time. So I think that the limit is not so much the fantasy for the future, as well as what we can build today with appropriate technologies. The limit is more like the collaboration and the development speed of the needed participants, and then also, of course, they also have to move on a motivational level. I think midterm, it's no question that the banking system will work on a different technology than it does right now, and it probably will be at least incorporating or will be solely found on blockchain inspired, or actually on real blockchain technology, I would say. And yes, financial aspects are another convergence vector for sure.
Maria, let's talk about the convergence of blockchain and AI. At least in our community, we started to discuss, let's say, trusted AI a few years ago, and I think what you're doing at Fetch is a very good example to use, let's say, AI computation and AI software agents at, let's say, the front end, and then you use blockchain as a notarization or efficiency backend solution. So how have you seen this kind of explosion of interest around AI, and is it a story that you are also putting out there, that blockchain and AI go best together?
I think it depends, what use cases are you trying to achieve? So I think it's known, it's not a secret, that if you want to build really good models, you need to have lots of data and you need to all bring it together, and then you have the real efficiency. But who benefits from that is, as Peter mentioned earlier, it's really just the largest technological companies, which are all based in the US. So then, if you're a smaller company, if you're in Europe, where we have a different ecosystem, where you have lots of small, medium, also some large companies, but how do we? But they're not these big tech giants. So we also want to live and prosper and build better future for ourselves, for our companies, for the citizens. So how do you compete with that? So one way is to really enable that collaboration of these various small players, stakeholders that can bring data together, not in the physical sense that you bring it all into one database, but you actually are going to enable that collaboration and building maybe a shared AI model together from all these different disparate data sets, right? And it has been proven that this can actually produce really good results, really good AI models that are competitive with, the other ones that are built centrally. So that's what we're trying to build together with Fetch. Also now with the ASI Alliance and the collaborating partners within that alliance. And, we're bringing together companies that technologically, are supporting each other, building this really large tech stack that enables that decentralized AI collaboration and building of decentralized AI, services, applications, and so on. So I think we need that. We need to have that as an alternative. Otherwise, we would just see, having the large, technological companies in the US just getting bigger and better and taken up and acquiring other companies, right? So I don't think we really have a choice. I think we have to go and provide a parallel, equally good or hopefully better a solution or opportunity for companies to build with, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you, Maria. Katarina, to you as an employee of a big consulting firm, one of the problems, especially if we talk about automotive models built on blockchain, was that the expected explosion of data market revenues didn't happen, at least not as quickly as it was forecast. But looking at the current market sentiment, where do you think that things will accelerate in the next 1 or 2 years? What's your feeling right now, given the multitude of projects and industries that you're exposed to with your global consulting footprint?
Yeah, so first of all, of course, what we see in public is just the top of the iceberg. So there are many projects still going on, although AI is now the hype again and maybe not blockchain. But we definitely see that, it's quite harder to argument for blockchain projects and topics internally within the German OEMs than for AI, since AI brings more return or faster return on invest than blockchain does. So I still believe that we definitely see that blockchain will be more valuable again thanks to AI, since this can be a good infrastructure to make AI applications more trustful and to really give people the feeling that they can trust an AI, the input and the output. So that's definitely an application we will see there. And I really love the idea of having decentralized data marketplaces and to share data based on blockchain. So I really, really hope that this will come during the next years. I don't think that many decision makers are really waiting for them, since we see that multiple OEMs, of course, have built up their own solutions. And it's always hard to switch from a solution where lots of money was spent on to a totally new solution. But I'm convinced that one day we will definitely see that such decentralized infrastructure make totally sense in terms of efficiencies, in terms of trust. And that's what we need to convince there.
Thank you, Katarina. Peter, maybe back to you. Maria, sorry. Maria mentioned it already. We need to strive for not only European sovereignty, but also for independent tech stacks that can not necessarily compete, but can suggest an alternative at the global level with more transparency, with built-in trust. But we're not only having this discussion, let's say, in the market. For sure, it also happens within companies. How do you balance the internal discussions that you are for sure having at Bosch, and which kind of tactics are you employing, and how is it different from what you are, let's say, pitching to the outside world once you've pacified internal discussions? So where are we today with corporate politics and innovation agendas?
Yeah, especially these times, we are in a quite bad timing, definitely. Because if you look into the press, the headlines, you can definitely read of hard times that the car manufacturers are having, and those, of course, then in the result as well, the tier ones, all the suppliers of these. So it's quite still a crisis-shaken area, definitely. And so new innovation ideas have it even more difficult and harder to come out. So our internal discussion definitely goes in this direction. There is also a chance in it. And I'm in the very, I would say, happy situation at the moment that we are still in the strategy thinking we need new systems, we need new innovations. We do not have millions to spend, definitely, to invest already at the moment into these technologies, but we are quite at a very comfortable level of it. So we are doing a lot in public funded projects, but we are as well preparing the internal technologies here as well. I must be honest, of course, it's on a low level still, yeah, because again, the situation is quite difficult, but we are preparing. And as I said, I'm quite passionate, so I have to wait until the project goes to an end. So the Move Idea thing, the internal ones, we started really cool new ideas with the foundation, and I'm looking quite much forward as well in the other developments. However, there is still a lot of skepticism, of course, yeah, in the classic management roles. However, they really, really slowly see that we need new innovative ideas. And these decentralization, these decentralized AI topics, these new agent technologies that we are now presenting and talking about is something really new. And this is the chance that we are grasping. And definitely internally, I'm working on that. Yeah, so I have lots of supporters and going even higher. And they say, okay, now really we need to grab the chance, talk to the OEMs. As I said in the beginning, more and more OEMs really go in this direction. Say now in this time of consolidation, to put it polite and diplomatic, we need to use that chance really to come up with new stuff and maybe emancipate us a little bit ourselves to these classic business models or classic tracks that we see with the hyperscalers, with the centralistic approaches. And especially, I just wanted to underline the decentralized marketplaces, which we can use in the future, where we have much more democratic ways of exchanging data, and combined really with like new models of federated learning, with new models of agent-based, decentralized topologies that we can use, putting that in an ecosystem together. So we are preparing that now, and still, again, you need to have patience, and you need to wait maybe a little bit more, since the industrial adoption still needs some more, especially in these times. I have to repeat that. However, first talks show me we are all waiting until there's a little bit more air to breathe again, and then more and more ideas will get to the road and get implemented. Again, that's what my managers always want to hear. Okay, Peter, now tell us, when do we earn the first billion with these technologies? And always I have to say, okay, wait a little bit more patience. We are working on it, and it will come. So I still are quite confident. Not this year, maybe not next year, but we are preparing definitely more and more, and we go on in small steps. And if you look, I always compare that really to the beginning of the internet age. And I went through it. That was my time when I was ready with studying and stuff. And I saw that developing very, very slowly, like 10, 15 years until really first interesting business model came up. So we are now really in that approach. So when you look really in the blockchain scene, we are there like in a really, I would say, public awareness of blockchain, like only, let's make it 7 to 8 years. And we definitely have another 3 to 5 years until really more and more is happening in that scene.
And in the meantime, we are doing, of course, public education together with Blockchain Bundesverband. Also, INATBA will co-host an event next week in Brussels, for example, when we take a German delegation to the Berlin representative office in Brussels to bring together politicians and industry managers and solution providers to educate the incoming people at the Commission and at Parliament. So it's important to stress the use cases outside of the financial industry as well. Peter, you mentioned market consolidation, and my next question would go to both Jochen and Maria in this context. So maybe Maria, you can tell a little bit about the reasons why you did the merge together with Ocean to the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, and maybe also to Jochen, because we see, let's say, a number of leading blockchain ecosystems that are now generating, let's say, business out of themselves. So the ecosystem is big enough, and you see internal revenues that start to flow, while others are still trying to grab industry projects by project grants. So where do you see the consolidation in the blockchain ecosystem segment leading? Will it accelerate the adoption or collaboration on industrial projects, or is it not going to have an effect? What's your take on it, Maria? Do you feel in a better position with RC now in existence?
Absolutely. That's why we did it. That's why we have come together, with the leading decentralized AI companies, and we've added another one since then, Kudos, which are bringing the actual, hardware and will support, the building of the tech stack. So that's what we're trying to bring together, companies that just match and can provide together that decentralized AI tech stack for others to use to build their own services, to build their applications. So we're not building it for ourselves, we're building it for others to use and to make it easier to use. It's happened in the world before, in the Web2, other worlds before. It's just part of, I guess, now Web3 as well. I'm glad we're leading the change and leading this way. So I think what should be interesting for industrial companies is to come and to find that kind of ecosystem where things are, supporting each other, where the technologies support each other, and then industrial partners and enterprise partners should just be able to pick and choose. Whether you can have agents, decentralized data marketplace, in decentralized AI marketplaces all together. So just bring it together. So I think what from our side, what we're building now are the first use cases that can show why this makes sense. So give us some more time. We're working on that. But I think it will come, and then I think it will just be self-evident why we have done those steps. So looking forward to that. Just as Peter says, these things do take time. Nothing happens in an instant. A lot of crypto people expect like all these big things to somehow magically happen, but they do take time and development. But things are moving forward really. And I think in a much, much faster speed than ever before. Like I thought that it cannot be any faster, but it just somehow, even after this summer, it just, things are picking up. And if you're not part of that wave, if you think that what you had 5 months ago was good, you're going to miss the train. So I really encourage people to stay on top and really try to get ahead. And that's why we have done this merger, and we're looking, to build that momentum even further.
Thanks, Maria, for that answer. And part of the solution or the thinking might, of course, be, size matters at the end. Let me be a bit more precise in my question to you, Jochen, because with 51 nodes, you're one of the leading, let's say, integration specialist companies. You're often doing the translation between different blockchain networks and corporate systems. So do you think that this, let's say, two-way exchange in the future, it will not only be corporates that pay for projects, let's leave aside for a moment public funding, but it will also be those blockchain networks that are sponsoring certain developments themselves. Is this something that you feel already? Is it happening? And do you think this will accelerate market developments?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, the grant programs that are popping up recently in order to realize more industry tractions, that they're real. I mean, the enormous funding out of the cryptocurrency development is a real thing. And so there is definitely a couple of dedicated projects that are looking for real world adoption, and I think grant programs are a very smart way of actually making that happen. In addition, in terms of adoption and development, what we see, I think one of the main predictors is whenever there is a sensible business model you can actually build on, then you get ahead. Also, I think there is in the industrial crypto space there is room for the big networks that were there in the beginning. Let's say Ethereum is a relevant technology that will stay in the game for quite a long time, and we see the development of second and third layer technologies that are needed in order to make it more lightweight, more easy to handle, and create more throughput in the adoption cases. And then it's kind of a strange mixture of what we see in the platform economy that is kind of taken over by network economy of decentralized technology. So it's about critical mass. It's about like the minimal viable ecosystem. It is a question of also massive funding, and then a question of the acceleration or the speed of the participants, and finally also of the kind of maturity of the used technology. So put that all in a big bowl and cook it up, and then you kind of have the current situation. And I think there's some very interesting developments ahead of us.
Bit like what I wanted to say. Maybe a question for all of us. Many chains are dying, and let's say this is nothing specific to the blockchain sector. Peter, correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the 1920s we had 900 car manufacturers in Europe. 10 years ago, I think there were 11 left. So this consolidation of 99 or 98% is happening, I think, in pretty much every industry. And it's clear we will need cross-chain, multi-chain projects, especially in the industrial context in the future. So we must worry about abstracts, designs, APIs, bridges, whatever have you, but it should not be at the core of a project to make a decision for one chain or for another. We need different capabilities. Or do you have different opinions on, let's say, the chain consolidation topic?
Yeah, here you must see it very clearly. There is still a huge skepticism out there regarding what I said in the beginning. And however, what we see definitely in the automotive industry at the moment, maybe that is true as well for the larger industrial situation in Germany, in whole Europe. We are really at I would say, a huge turnover at the moment. This digital transformation is not going quite well, we must say. So a lot of that stuff is done by the hyperscalers, by China at the moment, by others coming onto the market. And we need to really, as I said before as well, grasp the chance, to do something different here. And when it comes now to which decentralized approach we're going to use, and this might be some of as well what the other big ones are waiting for, and why the adoption is not really keeping up the speed, putting up more speed, is we really are not sure which one to choose, which one is safe, which is not a scam, which is financially as well safe and secure. However, we see more and more questions coming up asking us, okay, how can we do it differently than the classic approach that we had? And that gives me very huge hope if we now look into this interoperability space and see a lot of different technologies come together, find out which ones are really working, which ones are going to be adopted and accepted by the crowd, by the industry, by other players. Look at the EU, what kind of a discussion there is currently going on. So the word blockchain there is still a little bit shady. Yeah? So nobody tries to put that into discussion. What I hear from internal rounds and groups, they say, okay, especially in this digital identity space, it started as well with, okay, it needs to be based on blockchain as well. But now they say, it needs to be based on some decentralized structure, some decentralized infrastructure, and nobody is using the name blockchain there, or this word. So, but we are quite sure it needs to be some kind of a technology, based on a blockchain or evolving from the original technical blockchain definitions. And definitely we will come there when all the fog is settling. And when it comes really to all these trusted partners, these certified partners, which are now into the discussion, at the end, definitely we'll come to some kind of a consolidation, of really some decentralized system, some decentralized structure. And I'm not quite sure really what will stay there. We will see a lot of different chains there. I'm quite sure about that. And there, some kind of bridging, some kind of a, would say, connectivity technology will take place that we can connect them all. And always the question, do we need blockchain anyhow? When it comes to other things than finance use cases. So my question, my answer would be definitely yes. In some specific parts, we need them, and we, especially for the decentralized identity, it makes absolutely sense. And all the decentralized marketplaces, as we see as well in MoveID, together with the other partners there, and in the ASI Foundation as well, I see a huge chance to show how can it be done differently if you just combine some different tech stacks and try to make them work. And that's what we are trying to as well understand and do that. So, and again, as Jochen said in the beginning, and hopefully in the next years in Stuttgart, in the greater areas, as well in other centers in Europe, hopefully still cars get produced, and not just as a, I would say, as a new tier one, for the Chinese or for the other big companies who then just using us as manufacturers. This is something that we have to discuss, and I see a lot of discussions going on in our headquarters. And they're now open, as I said already before, to new technologies. And if we do not come to decisions here to really use them and to come to new approaches, we will have a hard time, definitely. So it doesn't have to be the blockchain, but some new approaches here, what we're talking about.
Thanks for sharing that or clarifying that perspective again, Peter. Maybe last question before we come to the closing round to Katharina. Both for your internal discussions, but also if you think about your discussions with clients, how does it work if they ask for strategic advice about their innovation roadmap? Are they aware of, let's say, the consequences of some of those decisions, like not necessarily the digital euro is digital euro, but we will have globally, or we will globally have digital currencies. So we will have digital rails to manage digital assets. There will be, at least coming from the private banking sector, projects like the commercial bank money token that Jochen mentioned earlier, which is programmable money. The European digital identity wallet is coming, so there will be regimes and standards for digital identities. Notarization or the use of technology to do more trustworthy and efficient notarization will also change. Are top managers aware of all those building blocks, and do they have an idea how this comes together? Because that's what we were trying to basically achieve with our study. Or is there a lot of strategy consulting and know-how transfer still necessary? Because many of those initiatives are only 2, 3, 4 years away. So all corporates should maybe, start getting their act together. But I personally, I don't have the feeling, but maybe it's me as a lonesome, independent consultant that just doesn't get into those projects. What's your view from a big consulting firm's perspective?
Yeah, so what we see, of course, big companies, OEMs have, or are aware of new technologies, are aware of blockchain, but as Peter said, they have it maybe in mind in a different way than we have. Sometimes I feel like that we are in a crypto bubble. We know all the positive news. We know what's going on, that the technology is making progress, that scams are like, just a small part of it, that we are moving forward. But what I really realize is often that, especially top managers, just know the bad news. And that's why it's so important also from INATBA and Blockchain Bundesverband and so on, to bring these positive news also to people who do not read like crypto news every day. And of course, they have their innovation roadmaps. Of course, they need some advice for it. But we see, because of the current economic situation, that priorities have shifted. Our clients currently focus on projects, on topics with a very fast return on invest. They focus on topics which have a very positive revenue and profit during the next 5 years. And Peter already said, with blockchain, it maybe needs some more time to see the real return on invest there. And that's why we always advise to do not forget to also think about your future strategies, your future innovations. Especially in Germany, we always see that we only react in a very short term on things, but we do not plan and innovate for the future. And I believe that especially with the Web3 and also the core integration to the Web3 and the data monetization topics and so on, that we could make progress and go to the top driver in the industry if we bring it to reality.
I think that was a very good summary. And my last quick question please give a short answer to it. Which area will see the biggest progress in the next 12 months? Doesn't necessarily need to be industrial blockchain that we were just discussing, but from your areas of work, which is going to be your focus in the next 12 months? All of you, maybe starting with Maria.
I'm just going to go back to the agents. We've been talking about it for six years, more than 6 years at Fetch. And what you see now is what I would compare how ChatGPT was maybe a year and a half ago, where you have several companies that started to talk about it and then started to do more and really adapt that technology, the LLM. So I see that with agent technologies. However, as we've discussed before, that's why actually blockchain is important, and having these agents in a decentralized ecosystem that's the power that you can bring. Having them being built and set up in a different way, in a centralized way, which is as the standard of most of the big companies, is not really sustainable and not scalable. So I think it's going to be the agents technologies that will come. They will empower other AI capabilities, and that's why we call them AI agents. They can really bring this new change and new all kinds of new business models. But yeah, It's slower at the beginning, but it will take off, and we can already see that in the US. So I'm just hoping that Europe will try to keep up and will really spend the time on understanding these technologies and starting to develop with them.
Thanks, Maria. Jochen, what's your focus for the next 12 months?
Well, since we are serving our customers, we are focusing on our current blockchain projects with customers like Honda, Börse Bern, a couple of energy companies, in our work in MoveID, Gaia X, together with Peter. In addition, we are have a couple of early projects in the generative AI space, which we are very excited about, because we can show very short return on invest cycles or periods. We can actually, right now we're learning a lot of the large language model capabilities and how to apply them to existing processes. And we see it as definitely as a building block towards our vision of a crypto economy.
Okay, so efficiency pitches first, and then let's worry about how to best marry those technologies. Peter, outside of MoveID, any focus area?
Yeah, I see clearly, of course, since the laws are here and getting more and more on the radar of the OEMs, digital identities will be covered. And later they will find out, once we have implemented a lot of different technology approaches, that decentralized systems, aka blockchain, will be the best way or the better way, to deal with them. That's what you just will find out. And this will happen really in the beginning, in the flow of the next year. And the second part definitely will be decentralized AI, because a lot of people will find out that it's not really the best way always to look in this direction of billions and trillions investments of the huge companies which conquer all, and they look already now in these alternative scenarios. And that's, I think, with the ASI and other strategies and tech stacks will go that way.
Okay, perfect. Katharina, last word for you.
I totally agree with my colleagues here in this round. I just would like to add the topic of energy trading, charging, and maybe also the E-Truck Durchlassungsgesetz in German. So there are many things, not only identity-based, but also for payments and so on, where decentralized infrastructure is evaluated at the moment.
Perfect. Thanks, Katharina. Then we have a good reason to talk again in 12 months. And with this, I think we're going to close the first day of INATBA's Digital Blockchain Week. But back to you, Bara.
Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Sebastian. I also want to thank all the speakers for providing their expertise and their insights and being here for the session today. Indeed, we conclude the first day of the INATBA Digital Blockchain Week, and tomorrow we will have 3 more sessions dealing with real-world asset tokenization, the regulatory impact of blockchain in the financial sector, as well as the convergence of AI and blockchain. So I hope you can join us tomorrow from 10:45. For today, I wish you a very nice rest of the evening or afternoon, and I hope we can see you in the future again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.